Welcome, I'm Paul, this is Dave. Today I have 17 Glitch in the Matrix and paranormal stories for you. Let's get to it. Case file number 3167, written by IF Chemtrails. Exit 42, year 2025. In February of 2022, I was driving through the Midwestern US. Not sure how much detail I'm supposed to put, but I was approaching the outer limits of a big city in Ohio around 2 a.m. Out of cigarettes, almost out of gas, and still had about 3 hours left to get home. Map said the next open gas station was a travel center on the other side of the city. The car said I had barely enough gas to get there, so I'm just trying to drive as conservatively as I can. Then I saw a brightly lit speedway that looked open. You can see it from the freeway. So I exit and go fill up. I'm the only car there. The pump does not accept my credit card and gives me an error each time I punch in my zip code. Okay, I figured it's the card reader, so I go inside to pay and ask the cashier for a pack of cigarettes. I'm telling him the brand, but he finishes my sentence, then says, "I thought you were quitting," in a sort of joking tone. Which my tired brain didn't think too much of. A lot of places I regularly get cigarettes remember the kind I like and recognize me. And as a baby-faced woman, I get a lot of comments and jokes about how I should quit. So I didn't think much of it until later, when I realized I'd never stopped there before and didn't recognize the cashier. Anyway, he rings me up, my credit card declines again, I pay cash and go on my way. Didn't think much of it again, except weird. That cashier must have worked at a different gas station where I've seen him before, and assumed that I must have tried my card too many times at the pump, and it got locked for fraud or something. I will drive the same route 2 or 3 more times in 2022. One time, I ran out of gas in almost the same place, and I remembered which speedway and which exit it was, but as I approached the exit, during the day this time, there's no signs for the gas station, and you can't see it at all from the freeway. I assume I passed it or remembered wrong, but it's daytime now. And way more gas stations are open, and I just go to the one at the next exit. Then end up moving to that city in 2023, and occasionally drive past that same exit. Once in a while, thinking, I swear, there used to be a gas station there. Even though it'd be kind of a weird spot for a gas station, on a large verge. This spring, they started construction in that exact spot. Now there's a speedway that hasn't opened yet. It looks exactly like how I remember. On the verge, retaining wall on one side, and multiple one-way ramps entering and exiting the verge on the other side. I don't think I could have remembered that wrong. I can't help but wonder if I somehow glitched into the future. I went to a gas station 3.5 years ago that still hasn't opened yet. I think my card declined because I moved and the zip code for my billing address would be different now. Or maybe it was expired in the future. I'm also kind of hopeful, because lately I've kind of been considering quitting smoking, but my visit implies that I keep smoking after the new speedway opens, at least long enough for the cashier to recognize me before telling him that I'm quitting. I don't know. I'm kind of scared to go there once it opens, and get a slight sense of dread whenever I drive past it. At the same time, I really want to sketch a picture of what it looked like inside, and then go visit and compare. It would be both vindicating and terrifying if it's how I remember inside too, though. Either way, it feels like a sign from the universe to quit smoking, so maybe I'll just do that and never go back. Time is just different variations of what is possible, and I think you went to one version that is most probable to occur, but it's not set in stone. So will you still be smoking in the future when you arrive at that point? So if you end up quitting smoking, that is on you. Just because you saw it, basically lived it in a vision, I would say. Not just a vision, it was real. But it felt like a vision. But just because you see it in something probable that does mostly come true, you still have free will. So never let a vision of the future break you away from that. You still control your own life. At least your own choices. Case file number 3168, written by TKCool73. The Road Through the White. Last summer, me and some friends were doing a weekend trip in the mountains in North Georgia. We were staying at my dad's cabin near Blairsville and wanted to go to another town called Helen. Really cool town, by the way, for those who don't know. We wanted to make a day out of it, so we left for it really early in the morning, and, it being the mountains, there was a lot of really dense fog. Now the road between the two towns goes directly through the Chattahoochee National Forest, so there's basically a 30-minute stretch where there's nothing at all around you. It basically takes you up the top of the stretch of mountains. You drive across their tops for a bit, then it takes you down into the valley where Helen is. So here we are, driving down this road at the top of the mountain, completely surrounded by miles of what is essentially as close to a wilderness you're going to get on the east coast of the US, surrounded on all sides by fog so thick you can only see 10 or 15 feet in any direction at best. The entire time, we didn't see a single other car. It felt really eerie, like we were at the start of a Twilight Zone episode. I half expected the fog to clear, and us to be in a different reality or something. But here's the kicker. When we left at the end of the day, we had to take a different route, because that way had been closed because someone had an accident and nearly drove off the cliff because the fog made it impossible to see the road. And I never saw anything about it on the news. The only reason we knew was because we drove up to that road and a cop was there putting the road closed sign up, and we asked him. It's like the fog was an omen of death. Case file number 3169, written by Nicole. When Words Ignite. Me and my friend went to the ice cream shop in town, and a fire truck passed us. She drove, so I just said, "Man, I hope my car didn't start on fire." And she looked at me like, "Huh? Okay." Then we get back to her house, and we are going to drop my car off at home and go to the bar. So we did, and I get in the car and I, for some reason, said, "My car was fine, so hopefully your car doesn't start on fire." And she was like, "Dude, stop saying that." And then we get to the bar. I get out and what do you know? Her car is on fire. Inside the wheel. And I start yelling like, "Holy crap, your car's on fire." But she didn't believe me at that point until I really started freaking out. Her hubcap had popped off from the heat, and guess where we found it later on that day? Propped up against my car. Like perfectly laid against the wheel of my car. It was so strange. So let's say your gut instinct on steroids. That is the ability some people have to predict the future. I don't think your words actually caused the car to catch fire. That would be tremendous and beyond anything I've ever read. Truly X-Men superpower level stuff. I think it's just prediction. A likely event to occur, maybe spurred on from some subconscious thing you picked up. Maybe the wheel was pressing on the inner rim and that could catch on fire. I don't know how a wheel catches on fire exactly, but whatever mechanism is involved there, I don't think that part is supernatural. I think it's just the prediction ability of your brain is very high. I'm guessing this will happen again if you let it. Case file number 3170, written by Angelion Fee. Heavier than cats. My boyfriend and I were in the shower, home alone, just about to get out. We hear what sounds like footsteps, just 4 loud sounds in a row, going down the hallway outside the bathroom. My boyfriend says his mom must be home or his sister, and I agreed. But then I think, they're at work and school, and I was confused why anyone would be home. My boyfriend quickly dries off and goes to check it out. No sign of anyone, no windows or doors open, doors to outside still locked and bolted. Now, we do have 2 cats in the house, but they have distinct footsteps that aren't human-like at all. In hindsight, they did sound heavier than ordinary footsteps. But I was scared for a week after that. Nothing has happened since, but I'm still confused about that one. We both heard it, and just presumed someone was home. So I don't think we both just imagined it. I even asked my boyfriend if he was messing with me, and texted his mom and sister just to confirm they were still where they were, and no one else has keys to this house. Case file number 3171, written by Andy Siff. 2 stars and a mystery. This happened about 35 years ago in Toronto, way before The Matrix came out, so glitch in the Matrix wasn't even a thing yet. I still have no clue what I saw that night, and it didn't feel paranormal or UFO-ish either. So here's the deal. Me and a few friends were chilling on a rooftop one night, just lying back and watching the stars. At some point, we noticed something weird. A star was moving. Not across the sky like a satellite or shooting star, but back and forth between 2 fixed stars, slowly, consistently, like it was running shuttle drills in space. Each leg of the trip took a few minutes. Then it would reverse. Same straight line. No loops, no figure eights, just back and forth. No sound, no flashing lights, no mothership lurking nearby. We watched it for over an hour and never changed. Just kept doing its thing. To this day, I've got nothing. It wasn't a satellite. They don't do that. Definitely not a drone. This was the late 80s. Not a comet or meteor. And it didn't behave like anything intelligent either. No reaction to us, no variation, just motion. Yeah, okay, a UFO, unidentified flying object. That's what this was. It doesn't mean that it's alien. It could be. It could be military technology testing, but using alien technology, which is a theory I'm very partial to. The idea that maybe aliens did crash in Roswell in New Mexico in what was 1968? I forgot the exact date. Or 1963. 43? I don't know. One of those dates. And that we reversed engineered our technology from that, or a lot of it. I could believe that. To a certain extent. I think we're still very creative, and I don't want that idea to take away from our own ingenuity. But I think we've advanced so quickly in the past 50 years, 75 years, that, well, it makes you question things. No doubt about that. Were you seeing a UFO, aliens? Maybe. Could just be the government testing things out. And I'm leaning more towards that these days, at least in terms of the UFOs we see. I think if it was aliens, they wouldn't want us and would be able to hide themselves completely, at least from our naked eye. Case file number 3172, written by Bevan Gade, Tanky. Thought comes first. I was lying in bed with my small children on either side. We heard their father coming home, how he put the keys in his pocket and took off his shoes. The children were of course happy and called for him. Silence. I got up and he wasn't home, so I went back to bed with the kids. 15 minutes later, he came home and did the exact same thing. This happened several times when I was a child. Once when I had a fever and went to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I longed for Mom. She told me the next day how she saw me transparently float into the room and land next to her in bed. A moment later I did. So my theory is that if you think hard enough about what you want to do next, or if you strongly long for something, you have already visualized it in advance. Thought comes before action. I also think it can be a way to biolocate. Me and my mom have seen each other in dreams and called each other the next day to verify. I believe what we see as reality is actually a masterpiece of momentum that we share with each other. Case file number 3173, written by Slam Slale. The game that opens something. So on some random night, we were chilling with my ex-boyfriend. We sometimes played this shamanic telepathy game. One person chooses among 4 shapes, square, rectangle, circle, and star, and the other person tries to guess which one it is by thinking in silence. So we were playing that, and we were so good at guessing, unlike usual. We were shocked but kept playing. As we were playing that game, we heard a sound coming from my bedroom. It was nothing like we heard before, like a strong vibration, but we heard that as a sound? I can't quite describe it, but it was like it was from another dimension, and our brains tried to make sense of it. We were both scared to go and look. It went on for like 5 minutes, then it stopped. Then I got up from the couch and took a look. There was nothing there. But the crazy thing is, as I got up, I noticed that the sun was rising. But it was like 1 a.m. when we were playing the game. My boyfriend came and took a look. We were like, what the fluck? It was 6 a.m. in the morning all of a sudden. I think we traveled in time maybe by playing that shamanic game. Maybe we opened a door with our minds or something. It's unlikely that we both hallucinated the same thing. Case file number 3174, written by Spatchy14. No keys, no windows, no one. I used to live in an old house as a child. We sold it when I was in my mid-20s. It was always creepy at night, and I swear, I sometimes saw a shadow in the corner of random rooms, but when I looked over, no one would be there. Anyway, a few weeks before he finally moved out, it was about 7 p.m. at night, and I was home alone. I was getting ready to go out and had just had a shower. As I was getting dressed, I heard the front door open and close, and then very heavy footsteps down the hallway, across the dining room, and then it stopped outside the bathroom door. I assumed someone had come home, and they decided to use the toilet, so I yelled out that I was getting dressed and would be out in a sec. No response, no more footsteps. I had this weird goosebumps feeling, and was worried that someone had broken in, so I quickly got dressed, peered under the door, couldn't see anything, grabbed the towel holder pole as a weapon, and flung the door open. The house was empty, all doors locked, no windows open. I walked outside to the street and my parents' car wasn't there. I rang them and they said they hadn't been home. No one else has a key. I pretty much grabbed my car keys and yeeted out the front door and waited in my car until someone else came home. Parents came home 20 minutes later, did a search and found no one else too. I'm convinced that whatever else lived in that house knew we were leaving and increased its activity to spook us or something. Never had that same creepy feeling in any other house. It's really hard to explain. Case file number 3175, written by Anonymous. The Voice with No Body. I was working late at my first big girl office job. My part of the office was separate from the rest. I worked in debt collections, so the front admin office was separated from the back, which was a collection and legal office by thick, heavy doors, and you had to be buzzed in. The office was designed specifically to keep noise from escaping the collection office, the bullpen, due to the sensitive information that was passed back and forth. In the admin office, we also had a conference room that was separated from the rest of the room with a thick frosted glass wall and doors, instead of actual walls. Anyway, I was alone in the admin office up front, bullpen doors closed, and the collection office was almost empty as well. Our office usually closes at 4, and it was almost 7, so almost everyone had gone home. I was seated immediately next to the front door that opens from the outside vestibule into our suite, with my back towards the rest of the office, typing. I had no music or anything else playing, so it was quiet. The only noise was my typing and paper shuffling if I had to dig through my stack of papers. I sneezed and heard a very whispered but still definitely there, "Bless you." It felt like someone whispered it directly into my ear, and I got a shiver throughout my entire body. I picked up and quickly left. I talked to my boss about it the next day, and she told me that the security cameras pinged on a sound motion alarm around 2 a.m., and when they checked the footage, there was no one in the office. But the frosted glass walls and door to the conference room shattered, like if you hit them with a spark plug. I hated being alone in that office. Nothing else happened to me before or since during my entire time working there, but I always had an uncomfortable feeling in my stomach when I was alone there. Okay, so some entity was there, clear as day. And they gave you a warning? It wasn't malicious. The fact that it shattered the glass later on probably was accidental. I would guess that if you're a spirit, an imprint of who you were before, well, that's an entirely new paradigm for you, an entirely new operating system, you could say. How do you operate as a ghost? The mechanics are probably very different, and you could probably accidentally damage the material world without intentionally doing it. I mean, why would a malicious spirit say "bless you" from someone who sneezed? Doesn't seem like the kind of thing they'd do. There'd be easier ways and more potent ways to scare you if that was their intent. Case file number 3176, written by TugLife94. Breakfast with the Matrix. I, 31 male, have worked on ships and tugs since I was 18. I've been around and heard all of the superstitions of working on the water, but not a single one of those explains my morning. My 7 o'clock alarm goes off telling me I'm late for my watch, so I get up and get dressed as fast as I can, and head to the galley and kitchen for a bit of breakfast before the day starts. I stop in the pantry and grab a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Celsius. I reach the galley and kitchen and set my CTC and Celsius on the countertop, get a bowl and pour myself a big bowl of cereal. Walk to the fridge, grab the milk, and pour over the top. This is where things go weird. I turn from the counter with the bowl and Celsius in hand and head for a seat at the table. I pass by our whiteboard hanging and we have a $20 football pool going and a 9:30 game. So I set my bowl down, write my name under the team I believe to win the game, and go to grab a spoon. I open the drawer and see 3 spoons. Drab one from the back because the one up front is weird shaped and I don't like it. Close the drawer and go to sit down. As I'm sitting down, I feel a light brush around my collarbone area, and bam, and I mean ting ting ting, a mother freaking spoon just appears and lands on the table in front of my eyes. I stood back up so fast, grabbed the spoon and just stared at it for I don't know how long. Retraced my steps and every thought that I had since I woke up 6 minutes ago. It wasn't much to think about, mainly cereal, caffeine, and crap I'm late. As I'm standing there, I get the thought maybe, just maybe, as I grab my spoon from the drawer, I somehow grab 2 of the 3 in there? Nope. I open the drawer and there's still 2 spoons in there. I sat in silence for the next few minutes just staring at the spoon and eating my cinnamon toast crunch, thinking I just snatched a spoon out from being suspended in the Matrix. I texted my wife, and she said I should think about a big pile of cash and see if that works. Case file number 3177, written by Mr. Black Label 71. It spoke inside my mind. My college roommate and I were sitting on the couch, and we heard heavy boots walking down the hallway from his room to the living room. Then they stopped and nobody was there. In the same apartment, we were out one night, and it started pouring rain, so we went home because we had all the windows open, but when we got home, all the windows were closed. When I was about 9 or 10, I was at my grandmother's house and woke up in the middle of the night. I looked at the window and saw an odd-shaped head in the window obscured by the curtains. I got super scared because of the head, then really freaked out when I remembered that window was about 15 feet off the ground. I hid under the covers and when I peeked out, it was gone. In high school, I was with my girlfriend messing around in my truck on an old dirt road when a voice in my head screamed, "Get the fuck out of there!" Like hearing a voice through headphones, not from outside the truck. I freaked out and started the truck, threw it in reverse, and turned on the lights as I backed out, and as I did, we could see 4 or 5 things at the edge of the lights. I still have no idea what, how, or why I heard the voice in my head, but it warned us of something. A guardian angel looking out for you, and kinda making you seem like a badass to your girlfriend. I know something bad's gonna happen, we gotta get out of here. And you save her life in a way, or maybe, maybe not save her life, I don't know what the threat was exactly. 4 or 5 entities, or humans possibly, but just knowing that they're there, your guardian angel definitely gave you bonus points, from her perspective, I would say. Case file number 3178, written by Practical Dress 6413. The longest fall in history. 3 of us were in a room where an academic painter taught us to paint. 3 years ago, I'm 40 now. We finished his class and I was supposed to put away this huge basket he gave me to paint above the closet. That basket was quite big and I was busy trying to figure out how to put it so it doesn't fall down. I've been rotating this basket and I don't know how, but I kept on moving to the left, pushing it and struggling with it. Unfortunately, I didn't notice that the lower drawer of the closet was opened, and then it happened. I tripped over it. The funny thing here is that I was falling over it for like 20 seconds. As I remember, I kept on yelling, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy," like I knew I was gonna fall as I was aware that I tripped over it. Those 2 guys stood like a couple of meters from me, and I do recall they were chatting while I was yelling, "Oh boy." I think it took me a couple of seconds to realize I was falling because I tripped and guess what? They caught me. Like time slowed down and I was falling so slowly because I remember yelling I'm about to fall down, and they actually managed to catch me, both of them at the same time, and held my arm so I didn't fall down. Such a weird experience. I think they were aware of what happened too. Case file number 3179, written by I Has Resting Bitch Face. The Door of Light. A close family friend passed away when I was 15. She was practically a second mother to me, and her death was so sudden. Fluck cancer. I didn't even have a week from her diagnosis to her death. Barely had time to process it at the time since I was horribly depressed from being abused as a child. I knew I hadn't processed my grief, but it was almost like my body just didn't have the time at the moment. 2 years later, I was finally okay and finally away from my abuser. I had moved into a new house with my family, and one of the first few nights we were there, I had this dream. I was in a courthouse or some sort of official building, and there she was. She held me close to her, and I could practically smell her perfume in the dream. She never spoke much English, and I didn't speak much Spanish, yet we talked for what felt like hours. We sat there in that building laughing and carrying on until she stood up, gave me one last hug and a kiss on the head, and made her way towards the door. I remember trying to follow her, calling, "Mama, wait!" But it felt so far. She left, and as soon as I was able to make it to the door, I swung it open and light. It was only bright white light. And then I woke up. I woke up with tears in my eyes, saying, "Mama." I think she knew it was a good time to finally say goodbye to me. I'm so glad she waited. Case file number 3180, written by Libert from the Sea. The second passing. This happened twice in the same spot on the same road. I live in a city in the UK called Brighton. There's a very long road that goes through the center of the city called Western Road that leads into the next town called Hove. There are long sections of the road where the houses are completely joined, mostly with bars and restaurants underneath. A few years ago, me and my boyfriend were walking back from a restaurant when we noticed a tall man with very large dreadlocks walking towards us. He wasn't particularly noteworthy apart from a colorful jacket he was wearing, although this city is notorious for outlandish and alternative fashion, so it wasn't that strange. He passed us walking at a casual pace. Nearly half a minute later, there he was again, walking towards us. He walked past us again. I didn't say anything at first, but my boyfriend did a double take once he walked past. We both checked our surroundings, baffled. To achieve this, the man would have had to start sprinting down a back alley and around a network of back streets to make it back around to us. He would have had to be almost impossibly fast, but he wasn't out of breath when he came by the second time. We talked about it for years, and whenever we walked down that road, we looked out for the man but never saw him again. Then, last night, we were walking back from the same restaurant we had the first time, and I noticed a very chic couple walking towards us. I noted I liked the woman's Parisian style, and then it happened again. The couple walked past us twice in the space of 15 to 20 seconds. There is something very weird about that road. Case file number 3181, written by Young Beast 2828. The Rainwalker. This happened years ago, but I honestly still remember it like it was yesterday. First, some background about me. I've always loved being active, whether I'd be playing basketball, hiking, lifting weights, or long walks, especially in the rain. For my long walks, I had this huge jug that I'd always carry full of water. It was one of those gallon jugs that came from a Hawaiian Punch my mother had bought from the store prior, and I was reusing the bottle. On this day in question, it was raining outside. In fact, the rain is what woke me up. I knew immediately, I'd gotta get up and walk before I missed the rain. So I got up and started looking for my water jug. Already this is weird. I say this because the way my room is set up, it's impossible to lose something that size. Imagine a rectangular room with the door in the bottom left-hand corner on the short wall. You open the door, and directly next to the door to your left is a couch with short legs, so the opening under the couch is tiny. Nothing is going under there. The far side of the room, on the opposite short wall, is my futon on the floor. No frame, no box spring, just a mat on the floor. In front of that, on the long wall, was my dresser, which had a tiny opening at the bottom even my kitten couldn't fit under. Directly next to that dresser, I had a desk that I had my TV on, and I'd sit at it and draw and play video games. Opposite to that, on the other long wall, was a shelf high up on the wall that I had suits hanging from for church. That being said, the middle of the floor is empty, and all that's there is a drawstring hanging from the ceiling light that you pull to turn the light on and off. So the water jug being missing makes no sense. Even though it's strange, I waste about 15 minutes tearing my room apart and asking my siblings and parents if they saw or touched it, and I still don't find it. So I give up and go for the walk with a smaller bottle. Hours later I come home, take a hot shower, and get settled in. I invited my brother to my room to watch a movie with me. It's dark in the room, I'm laying on my futon, and my brother is laying on the couch across the room from me. During the middle of the movie, out of nowhere, we hear a huge thud like someone dropped a bowling ball or something. I pause the movie, look at him confused, and he looks at me confused too, both of us thinking we threw something at one another. I get up, pull the drawstring, and the lights click on, and I look down, and there is a jug directly in the middle of the floor, the water sloshing around like it had just fallen. Him and I are both staring at each other, in shock, because we both knew that number one, there's no way for it to go missing, but also number two, it was missing. How did it just appear out of thin air in the middle of the floor? Nothing for it to fall off of, nowhere for it to hide under. It's as if it glitched out of the room and then glitched back in later. Case file number 3182, written by B.W. Ferg 78. A visit from the not yet. My wife wasn't expected to be home any earlier than 6, so when she pulled into the driveway at 5:30, my dog and I were both surprised. At first, my dog did her usual happy dance when Mama was home, then suddenly froze and barked. I saw her work van come out the driveway, then saw her go to the mailbox, then start walking up the door through a slit in the blinds. But she never made it to the door. I checked the camera, nothing there, no record of the event. I texted my wife, she was still about 45 minutes away. When she got home, my dog again reacted with her happy dance, but didn't freeze and bark this time. I once again saw the van pull up, the wife went to the mailbox, and she walked up to the door, only this time she walked in the door. Case file number 3183, written by Pentalones. After the altar. My family and I celebrated the Day of the Dead for the first time ever. We put up pictures at my brother's house and we just talked about our departed family members. It was nice. We had put up a banner as well. Once we were done, we were just sitting in the living room. Mind you, the AC was not on and there were no windows or doors open. Out of nowhere, the banner just looked as if it blew in the wind. It happened only once, and it was still again. We shrugged it off. Then my boyfriend and I went home. A little context. We have a dog that likes to escape, and is also a guard dog, as in he barks at every little sound or guest. We had fence extenders added in that makes it very difficult to open the gate to our backyard due to some zip ties, and the fence extenders aren't sturdy enough to climb. Keeps the dogs in. As we were falling asleep, we heard a steady knock on the back door leading to the backyard, and it woke us both up. We slowly looked through our bedroom window, which showed the back door clearly, and there was no one there. Plus, how could there be anyone there? It's impossible to get in our backyard. Also, our dog, who barks at the slightest sound, was knocked. My heart was beating so fast. We looked out as soon as we heard the knock, and no one was there. My boyfriend got up to double check all the doors, and after about 20 minutes, we laid back down and tried to go back to sleep. 10 minutes later, the same exact knock again on the back door. Look again. Nothing. Even though I advised him not to, my boyfriend decided to go outside and take a look around. Thankfully, there was nothing and no sign of our fence having been opened. Again, zip ties would need to be cut to open the gate. I prayed, and we went to bed. I think something tried to attach itself to us since we were in a vulnerable, emotional state, but I'm not sure. Now time for the jokes of the day. My cannibal girlfriend finally convinced me to sleep over. She promised to make me breakfast in the morning. Uh-oh. Make sure none of your limbs are missing first. At a party, a young wife admonished her husband. "That's the 4th time you've gone back for ice cream and cake. Doesn't it embarrass you?" "Why, heck no," answered the husband. "I keep telling them it's for you." My ex-wife just texted me, "Wish you were here." She does this every time she passes by a cemetery. Damn. I got an email saying, "At Google Earth, we can read maps backwards," and I thought, that's just spam. On a visit to the zoo, I noticed one cage with nothing but a baguette inside. It was bred in captivity. I mean, I'll still eat it. Video up here, YouTube thinks you'll like it. Check it out. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.